Atheist Nomads, episode 363. The Wall Has Fallen.
The podcast you're about to listen to includes cursing and talking about hoo-haws. Please be advised.
Welcome to another episode of Atheist Nomads. I am Dustin, and joining me is Lauren.
Hello.
And Aaron.
Hi. I almost burped.
And The Wall That Has Fallen is one that we will be talking about at the very end.
Okay, so that was the build-up.
Yep,
Stick around.
We're doing the good,
messages.
the bad, and the ugly separation of stories this time.
We haven't done that in a while.
Nope.
All right.
But before we get to that, I do need to do a correction on the feedback section from last week.
Oh.
That will probably also include me going back and deleting the feedback from last week's episode.
Oh.
Morningstar's Tale is not satire.
Yeah.
I read half of this book thinking it was not the best written. Okay, pretty poorly written, but hilarious satire.
Oh no.
It was described in the email as a fictional novella.
Uh-huh.
Morningstar, of course, Lucifer.
Uh-huh.
It was
and the whole
reference to Satan.
And the whole idea of the whole flat earth theory is the devil's joke.
It sounded great to me.
Perfect setup for a satire. And I'm reading through and it sounds like satire. There was one moment where I started to think, wait a minute, is this guy actually... Oh, no, he's just sticking to the satire here. This is crazy. No one in their right mind would be quoting from the Book of Enoch that much.
Yeah, that was the book that everybody decided was bullshit.
It's a Gnostic scripture from not written by Enoch before the flood. No, this was a Gnostic text written, around the turn of into the Common Era.
Okay.
And goes into crazy, crazy detail about the levels of heaven and
is this where Dante's Inferno
illuminaries
comes from? And
hell being below, and it's all this, it's this structure where hell is at the bottom, and then there's earth, and then there's where the lower deities are, and then there's the higher deities, and then there's the almighty at top. Because Gnostics like to do genealogies and charts, and have layers and structure.
Like onions.
Like
And
the Mormons.
Modern, yeah. The Mormon church is some crazy ass Gnostic bullshit. But so is fucking flat Earth. And so we get started talking in an interview yesterday, and I describe his book as satire, and he's like, well, not exactly.
Oh, God.
And they described it as being, he chose Lucifer in kind of the style of C.S. Lewis's Screw Tape Letters, and then...
Which, if anybody knows anything, C.S. Lewis was very religious.
Uh-huh. So, okay, I've already got a red flag that he worked as his last paying job several years ago.
Well, that's a good flag right there.
Was doing a conspiracy talk show on the radio in East Texas.
What? Oh.
How many flags did that one sentence have?
That's
sorry, Texas. Not sorry.
So East Texas, we're talking the bayou deep south of Texas. With a lot of Pentecostals and
tinfoil hats. Apparently.
Racists and tinfoil hats, and doing conspiracy theory radio. And then he started going off on how he did all this. He had somebody tell him that he should look into the flat earth, and he did all this research into it,
quote unquote,
and then started writing the book. And then I had to finally be like, okay, let's pause the interview Do you actually believe the earth is flat? And he said, yes.
Oh no! You're like,
I said, I don't think you're a good fit for this show.
Very gracious of you.
I'm a little bit confused. What makes a listener of
Not a
this
listener.
podcast? Exactly. Apparently so.
He must have just been spamming this book to any religious and non-religious or anti-religious podcast just to try to get more clicks.
But if you're leading...
He clicked the wrong click.
Yeah, and especially if you're leading support for your point of view. Like, I thought the Book of Enoch was the perfect thing to base your satire on because it's so incredibly bullshit that everybody knows it's incredibly bullshit.
But it's also common knowledge amongst, at least, Western society, heaven above, hell below, where you can't really trace that to anything.
Yeah. You don't find that in the Bible anywhere.
Yeah, but we know it comes from something. A lot of people just don't know it comes from this particular crazy-ass book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never heard of this book name before.
He had to explain to me what it was.
This minute old.
Yep.
Well, specifically, it is the Secret Book of Enoch.
Is this because we're you? It's exactly because we're you.
Yeah.
Damn it. In our non-religion religion.
Except for they probably would have taught it to us as a fair representation of alternate lifestyles.
If we had done that. But I just feel like we just got, the smattering of main religions.
Well, even basic Christians get only a smattering because the King James Version is not the one-all version of the Bible. And then, of course, there was all the books and texts and stuff that they trimmed out of the Bible to make it the Bible. The current edition. There
wasn't really trimming as much as there was a bunch of different lists of books that different churches had in different regions. And a council met and decided on which ones they would all have as scripture.
That's what I'm talking. Yeah.
So it wasn't trimming. But it wasn't trimming. It was... They finally decided we need to decide what's scripture and what isn't. And it wasn't they cut a bunch of books. There were just a bunch of books that weren't adopted because they're insane. Like the Book of Thomas has the cross.
I feel like this is a tomato type thing.
The cross follows people around.
Yeah. The cross becomes a character that follows the disciples and apostles around.
Oh my God.
Could it be... If you start looking around, there are kind of cross shapes everywhere.
I mean, would it be a little bit like Towley? That's how I feel like the cross would be.
Guys.
Like, with like, hey guys.
Yeah, exactly kind of like Towley. Yeah.
Want to pray?
Yeah. And then there's the infant gospel where Jesus, as a small child, I think curses and disfigures a bully.
Oh, yeah. The untold stories of Jesus as a kid.
Harry Potter.
This is...
sorry.
This sounds an awful lot like fan fiction writers trying to write a book.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, what's canon? It's like, well, this is headcanon. It's like, that doesn't count.
By the way, I didn't know that Jesus was 33 until like 3 weeks ago.
Nice.
When he died. Again, religion was non-religious.
Yeah.
I didn't know these things.
That's all right. Everything I know about Jesus, I learned from Life of Brian. So, Monty Python's a good teacher.
Yeah, and I've even watched that. I don't know. It is good.
All right. Well, let's get to some news. Don't read Morningstar's Tale. It's
just bullshit.
Not a satire.
It's so hilarious that we got, so punked.
Flat earther.
So good. Oh, man, when Dustin said, this is bullshit, and, turned off the interview and walked away, I was in bed. I went to bed early, and I just hear, this is bullshit. And I'm like, yes, I need to hear this story. So good.
Yeah. All right, so we have good news to start off with. 2 stories out of Sudan.
Okay.
It's not often we get good news out of Africa, let alone a country like Sudan.
Fair enough.
For a little bit of
We
background.
usually get the crazy Pentecostal news.
So for a little bit of background, the dictatorship was al-Bashir's dictatorship. It lasted like 30 years, was overthrown by massive protests in the streets, and then eventually the military stepping in and deposing him. That was last year. And since then,
none of you have heard about it, have you?
Interim government has formed where the military and the main protest groups all have representation, and the acting prime minister has been pushing through a lot of reforms, trying to remove the Islamist agenda of al-Bashir. So the first one they ratified was a law banning female genital mutilation.
Whoop woo!
Woo! Hoo-haws!
Happy hoo-haws.
Yeah, really.
According to a UN survey in 2014, 87% of Sudanese women and girls between the age of 15 and 49 had been subjected to the procedure.
Wow.
Most of whom get the most extreme form.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So now it is illegal,
Yay!
and performing that procedure will get you a sentence of 3 years in prison.
So it's not going to stop it, obviously.
No.
But it will. At least it's not legal.
Yeah. Egypt has banned it, and based on surveys that have been done, it has cut the rate down about a third. From somewhere in the upper 90s percent-wise down into the 60s. So that's improvement. They still need, like, and Egypt even bumped it up to a felony. Actually, no. Egypt banned it in 2008, made it a felony in 2016, and they still find that 90% of women have had this procedure.
Ugh. Yeah.
So, but Sudan is working on this, and realistically, with any move like this, it's generational changes that are going to be required. You ban a procedure that's being done by
The old guys.
the old women,
Yeah.
mostly.
Yeah.
And
As we know, Karens be everywhere.
and when you have a generation that believes this is what must be done, often the next generation isn't particularly happy that was done to them
Yeah.
and can stop it.
Yeah.
And it might take a generation or two of Sudanese people to die for it to actually die out. But criminalizing it is the first step towards eliminating it.
Yeah.
That is good news.
But Sudan is not done with being awesome right now. They are still continuing more modernization, not just banning FGM. Nope, that is not enough for Sudan. Justice Minister Nasruddin Abdullah said, "We will drop all the laws violating the human rights in Sudan."
Oh, nice.
This is major reforms.
That's probably what the people were in the streets for.
Think Canada
yeah.
and New Zealand style updating the laws, but where they're actually getting rid of stuff that is being enforced and is horrible.
Cool.
So the new changes, women no longer need permission from a male relative to travel with their children.
Oh, that's nice. You know. It's not like they're the main caregivers or anything.
Now, it wasn't that women weren't allowed to travel with their children. They just had to have permission from a male relative.
Right.
Not necessarily.
They had to have a permission slip signed.
From your husband or father or uncle or adult son.
Ugh.
Yeah. So they got rid of that. It is now legal in Sudan for non-Muslims to consume alcohol in private.
Hmm.
It is also now legal for non-Muslims to buy, trade, transport, and sell alcohol.
Okay.
Prior to this, it was illegal alcohol was illegal in all of Sudan.
So it's still illegal for Muslims because that's part of the religious edict that they're slowly trying to shrug off.
Non-Muslims make up 3% of the population.
Liquor sales skyrocket.
That number was much higher prior to Sudan splitting.
Yeah.
When the primarily Christian South left the primarily Muslim North.
Yeah.
So 3% of the population can now, have alcohol. But if a non-Muslim is found drinking with a Muslim, they can still go to prison.
Ah, that sucks.
Which is just like, it's like the joke of, depending on what region you are, whether it's a Muslim or a Baptist in your boat, but it's safe to go. You never want to go boating with or go fishing with just one Mormon, if you're going to go with that example. You always want to make sure you have at least two with you. Otherwise, the one will drink all your beer.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what they're afraid of in Sudan.
Yep. Which makes sense because they do it.
Yeah. They're wanting to make sure that Muslims still don't drink, while at least not enforcing that on anybody else. Apostasy, until now, and apostasy in most of the Muslim world is not leaving your religion. It is a Muslim renouncing Islam. So, want to make sure that is incredibly clear. You can always renounce your non-Islamic religion and convert to Islam, but you cannot renounce Islam and convert to anything else or become non-religious. That was punishable by death. A recent case that was made the news was a woman, Maryam Yahya Ibrahim Ishag, who was pregnant and sentenced to be hanged for marrying a Christian man in 2014. Because your religion is based on another backwards rule in a lot of Islamic countries. A married couple's religion is based on the husband's religion.
Right.
So a Muslim woman marrying a non-Muslim man is automatically guilty of apostasy because by marrying a non-Muslim man, she can no longer be Muslim, obviously.
Obviously.
Yeah. But a Muslim man can marry a non-Muslim woman because she automatically becomes Muslim at that point. Or at least their children do.
Right. Yeah.
But a non-Muslim woman marrying a Muslim woman marrying a non-Muslim man, then their children would not be Muslim, and well, that would be bad to Muslims. So she was.
I wonder if my cousin had to if that's why they had a Muslim wedding. He had to convert, so that she could stay Muslim and not be.
Yep.
That's weird. They're in London
and not lose her family.
Issue. But there you go.
I mean, are you sure he didn't just want to become Muslim?
Oh no.
No, you're not sure, or no, he did not?
I mean, unless he just suddenly decided, like a year before meeting this girl, that hey, I want to be Muslim now. that's just.
Well, I mean,
and then all of a
maybe
sudden
it's
he
just
meets,
like Catholic stuff, right? You know, like, well, you know, it's not like she's that practicing, but her family's really religious. So I'm just going to do this so that she can get married
He's an
in
American
the mosque.
He's an
Yeah.
American army brat with a Japanese mother.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just to appease the in-laws.
Yeah.
So it's not like,
exactly.
it's just all for
Except in the
show
process, his mother couldn't go to the wedding.
Oh no.
So
Really?
either way, he was screwed because he was going to lose one family member or another.
I didn't think that.
She was not
You
allowed
could-
in.
What?
She was, well, one, she's a woman going into a mosque. So,
Oh,
just
I guess
non-Muslims
there's.
can't.
Well, I guess there's different types. You know, just like
this
there's
was in
different types-
England. It shouldn't have been
No,
that big of
but
an
I
issue.
mean that there's different types of. You know what I'm saying? Like Judaism, there's like there's very orthodox, and then there's like not that orthodoxy where everybody can be together. Like so, there's also parts of Muslimism. I don't know. Anyway,
Islam.
there's Islam that are very, very strict, and then from what I'm hearing, there are now
Pretty
ones that
liberal.
are pretty liberal, where men and women pray in the same area. They're open to outsiders coming in and being, you know, seeing what things are
Yeah.
about.
And that's more of an American thing and a lot less of a British thing.
Yeah.
Seems pretty cool, though.
I'm sure she is.
Well, I mean, yeah. But that sucks that he basically can't talk to his own mother now.
Yep.
Because
Yeah.
the in-laws, man, they paid for it. So I guess that was just, that's
I
a
mean,
done deal.
even, are they living with them?
No.
I don't understand why he can't talk to his. I don't know.
She may not talk to him.
It really wouldn't be any different if it had been.
She's pissed that she couldn't go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
and he
makes
was
sense.
okay with that.
And it wouldn't have been any different if he'd married a Mormon girl instead of a Muslim girl.
Temple thing. Yeah.
Well, you have to go. I don't know how much stuff you have to go through in Islam, but like, anyway, I know how much shit you have to go through. Shit.
All right. So, in the case of Miriam Yihala, or yeah, anyway, in the case of this one woman, she married a Christian man and was sentenced to be hanged. She fled the country. And
She now lives in Texas.
I don't know where she went. I highly doubt it's Texas. But yeah, she had to flee the country to get away from death for that.
Damn.
And that law is now gone as well.
Well, here we go.
Yeah.
Yes, but that doesn't mean that vigilante justice won't
I know, right?
That's the hard part. Is that
Yeah.
It's so ingrained that okay, the government says that, but that doesn't mean that your family's going to say okay, or your neighbor down the street.
It'll take on the one hand, it could take generational change, just like with getting rid of female genital mutilation. On the other hand, they just went through a 25-year civil war over this shit.
Yeah,
and
so
have
wouldn't
had
you think
several years of protests since?
Yeah,
it sounds like it sounds like almost like a majority of people are.
Yeah, thinking it's time to join the modern world.
I mean, then again, is it just like us and what we're going through right now? A lot of it. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of intergenerational issues that are happening.
Yeah, it's true.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Are we ready for the bad?
Oh no.
Before we go into the bad, I just have to share with Aaron a memory from a year ago. I just sent you a picture of it, of you holding, I believe that's amethyst up to your forehead.
Yeah, we did that. Aligning the chakras.
You aligned the chakra a year ago. How's that gone for you?
Oh,
fuck the
not
chakra.
great.
Oh, they're just rocks. Damn it.
Here, didn't we come to the conclusion that it's great if you needed a meditation practice to help focus on something else. That's all good and grand. Do I meditate? Fuck no. Do I think it would help me? Probably. And what do we call meditation now? Mindfulness.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right. So every state is handling the global pandemic a little bit different, and every country is handling it a little bit different. In the case of the U.S., a lot of that difference is because we really have no national leadership.
Right.
Which is what Republicans elected Donald Trump to do. They elected him to try to tear down the government.
Mm-hmm.
They keep voting for Republicans to not govern.
We had Fauci to look up to for a little while.
He's still there. He's just been getting denied a microphone a lot more.
Yeah.
Trump started holding press conferences that Fauci could talk at. So, New York is going with the approach of schools can submit their plans for reopening, and the state government will review those and determine which ones will be approved or denied. Idaho is going with the approach of there are state recommendations on how it can be done safely that are based on the AAP and American Academy of Pediatrics and CDC recommendations, but they can do whatever the hell they want. Florida
no enforcement.
But no enforcement.
Right.
Each district can do whatever it wants. Those are just loose recommendations. Florida is going with an emergency order requiring all brick and mortar schools to reopen full time next month.
That's because they believe the Betsy
DeVos?
Yeah. Aren't they saying, if you don't open, we're going to defund, which is like, how much more can you defund school programs?
Well,
dicks?
as much as Idaho.
Right. Well, there we go. Then we can all start at a clean slate. Everybody just come down to Idaho standards, and then we'll see what happens.
It can only go up.
No, it's Trump that said the schools must reopen or they will lose all.
No, she funding. Said I just
Trump
read
started
an article. It. Yes, but she has been like, yeah
she's now trying to enforce Trump's tweet.
Oh God, it's always a tweet.
Yeah. Which is funny because going along the school lines, right, is that MIT and Harvard sued because they were trying to say international students have to be in classroom, they can't go online, or they have to go back to their country of origin. And so those two schools sued, and then Trump administration's like, I mean, just joking. Okay, never mind. we're just kidding.
Yeah.
No. We'll backtrack in 1 week. So we'll see what happens in a week.
I think somebody's been counting. He's just reached his 200,000th misleading comment since his beginning of presidency.
Okay, so let's move off of Trump and onto Florida.
Okay, God.
So
let's go from bad to bad.
Florida is
still Jaguars.
they're requiring that all schools must fully reopen, or at least reopen full time. That means no modified schedules, at least of the school. Doesn't sound like they're necessarily saying no modified schedules for students, just no modified schedules for the schools.
Mm-hmm.
And what's interesting and why this is in bad and not ugly is there is no consensus from the experts on this.
On what?
On whether or not schools should be reopening this fall.
Oh, yeah,
of course not.
You're right. We've had no leadership on this. And every time a school district posts something, they're inundated with so many questions that they can't get anywhere. I noticed that in the local stuff. Boise School District is opening up online registration for online classes. They're like, okay, we for sure are able to do these. So here you go. And people are like, yeah, but what are you going to do about all this? And they're like, okay, we're not going to say anything for like another 3 weeks.
Well,
Talk
like,
to you guys later.
the American Academy of Pediatrics issued their guidelines on how schools can safely reopen.
Right, you can have kids 6 feet apart.
Teachers wearing masks and creating enough
in
space.
Crowded schools.
And doing staggered schedules or alternating days with some online and some in classroom. And so they have all these guidelines, and Trump tweeted, schools need to reopen. American Academy of Pediatrics say so, which they had to jump in and say, no, we didn't. Here's what our guidelines are.
Theoretically, if you could pull this off, then yes, you could open. But no school at this point has enough physical room to house students 6 feet apart and able to participate in class.
But on the flip side,
unless you open up the prisons as schools.
But on the flip side, and why the American Academy of Pediatrics is encouraging schools to reopen, sort of, is that it is damaging for students to not have social interaction.
Yeah, they're going feral.
I know from experience with bullying and being a very antisocial victim for many years, how much that fucks up your development.
Yeah.
And I've seen plenty of homeschool kids to know how much that fucks up your development.
Now, yeah, so I don't know, and that is often discussed in homeschool things, where, well, what do you do for your kid to get them socialized? Some of them do, groups and, city groups. They get together and do stuff. Some of them don't bother. And you could always tell those guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you were homeschooled, weren't you? Because you're kind of sheltered and awkward.
But then you add in the fact that parents are having to work and help their kids with school.
If not be teacher, then to at least be supervisor to make sure their kids are actually doing their schoolwork. While
working from home, if that's even an option.
If they are. Yeah. I bet private tutorship is going to skyrocket. All those furloughed teachers can take up tutoring. And then there's always maybe everybody should skip a year.
But if you skip a year, you lose a lot more than that in educational development.
Yeah, I know. No, it is not a good option. And we're getting to the point now where it's going to be the only option, because this stuff we should have had somebody upper level setting some ground rules 3 months ago.
This should have been all planned out in February.
It's like, okay.
Well, you know what? This should have been planned out with a pandemic team. Wait a minute. There wasn't one.
Yeah. They should have had this plan worked out in like 2017 or 18. Oh, right. That's when Trump dismissed them.
Right. That's too logical, though. That's not what our country's based off of. Logic? Silly.
I miss
Obama. There is no
Obama.
leadership. I know. There's no leadership. There's no nothing.
And there's no right answer.
Right. And what we're hearing from the higher ups is very vague answers and things like, get creative.
Mm-hmm.
Think outside the box.
You figure it out.
Fuck your box.
Well, like,
which is funny because a box is a term for the vagina.
But like, we're even having to seriously consider how to balance social distancing and safety with keeping Kylie from losing all socialization.
Yeah. I mean, we're seeing it already. I don't know how much Dustin gets to see it, but I get to see it more because I go for walks with her around the neighborhood and stuff. And there's just enough little kids out there that she just wants to say hi to. And it's just so sad when I have to pull her back and say, if you're you have to wave. she's learning that to be close to other people is dangerous, and that isn't what I want her to learn. But at the same time, oh my God, what else are we supposed to do? We've been playing more safe with it, and sooner or later that's going to have to relax. And oh boy, that's going to be rough.
Yeah. So like, there's being, and this is one of the reasons why it's important for everybody to do as much as they can, like wear masks in public. The more we can control the spread overall, the more people can get away with taking reasonable risks when they need to.
Exactly.
Going to a fucking bar is not a necessary reasonable risk.
Bar, bicycle, pub. That was one that
Disney World.
Yeah.
It just reopened.
Water parks. Don't go to a fucking water park.
Yeah.
I don't care if they are social distancing. You're in the water with other people's water. With a disease
They say
that is
that
carried by water.
They say that the chlorine
probably.
Then the pools would all be
it.
closed down.
The pools are more confined space.
Yeah, and it's more or less because they didn't know when they were going to reopen. They didn't know how much staff, budget.
Understandable.
They'd have to
but
limit.
It's still, you can't control people's social distancing at a place like a water park or
our water
theme park.
Open?
Oh yeah.
I'm just waiting to see how many people come out of that and what outbreak is going to happen.
I don't know if they still are.
Roaring Springs?
Wahoo's?
After we moved back to
Roaring Springs
phase
doesn't
3.
exist anymore.
Yeah, no, absolutely they've been okay because I went out there to go pick something up like last week.
Okay.
Yeah, it's messed up, but it was so funny. I was at the hospital yesterday for a pulmonary breathing test, talking to the nurse there. Her nephew's girlfriend went on one of those bar crawling bike pub things. It was the first night that everything reopened. Her and her nephew and all 10 people on that bike
are sick.
Had COVID. Yep. And let's see here. And then the girl's like grandfather died from it or something because yeah, I mean, oh geez. It just that sucked. But that's just it's just, to me it was a no-brainer. You know, you don't just jump right back out into life after a pandemic shutdown, but some people, I guess, they just
well, the problem is that there was no clear-cut leadership that said, this is what's going to happen. This is what we're going to do. It's all been back and forth and back and forth. And you know, we get it. The CDC said one thing, but we're finding out that that's not true, you know. And now we're even finding that the symptoms have started to develop and change too. And so
the virus itself has changed.
Yes, exactly. It's been mutating. So
yeah, you know, now with the screening questions at the hospital for, you know, employees and actually patients too, basically, if you're not in perfectly good health at the moment, you fail screening.
Yep. Do you have fatigue? Well, guess what? 90% of people in North America have fatigue. It's just a thing.
So for a great example, if you
I lied.
Don't go to the bar because that's ridiculous, like we talked about last week, and you instead go to the liquor store and you make yourself a few too many drinks and you have a hangover, what do you end up having? Nausea and a headache. You just failed 2 screening questions.
Well,
yeah, exactly.
Yep. At least you're at home and didn't expose yourself to COVID.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, guys, it is also spread through feces, so cover your butts.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's where one of the big issues with pools.
And children.
Ah, there we go.
It's not.
I just like to think cover your butts, though.
Feces in the water and then the water up the nose.
People.
Okay, well, we need to move on to Texas.
Oh, God. Do we? Must we?
Are we still on bad or ugly?
This is still in bad.
Okay.
I will warn you when we get to ugly.
Oh, shit.
Oh, jeez.
Speaking of shit.
Texas governor.
That was a good segue. I'm really proud of myself.
The Texas governor issued Executive Order GA-29, requiring Texans to wear face masks in public.
How many people are gonna show up and shoot each other?
Except in churches.
Womp womp.
Well, because Jesus, take the mouse.
No, that's a stupid exemption.
That's a dumb exemption.
In theory, and this would also be why...
Is it because everybody's looking down and they're not talking to each other?
No. The theory is, and Idaho had this in where it put churches in the reopening plan. The theory is that churches are in control of the people in attendance and how things work, so churches can handle it.
Oh. Okay. That makes no sense.
They are the shepherds of the flock.
There are also people who are claiming that you're obscuring the image of God because you were made in God's image. So if you wear a mask, you're basically giving Jesus the middle finger.
That sounds like something we'd hear out in Meridian.
Yeah, for real.
So in the Treasure Valley, there's Boise, Meridian, Nampa. Meridian's in the middle. Tends to be the hotbed of conservative libertarianism. This has been proven by a survey that somebody did on grocery stores, where they camped out at like 3 grocery stores in Boise and 3 grocery stores in Meridian of the same companies. In Boise, it was like among employees, it was a 99% mask adherence. In Meridian, it was like 54%. They're just like, fuck it. They just don't give a damn. Glad I don't live in Meridian.
Yeah. Texas right now has a horrific outbreak going on with hospitals in, like, Houston has run out of ICU beds.
Oh, gosh.
Several parts of Texas have run out of ICU beds. It's really, really bad there, which is why it finally got bad enough for a Republican governor to do a statewide order that everyone must wear masks. And many of the localized outbreaks in Texas have been from churches.
That's the funny part, yeah. Except for I just imagine women wearing hijabs going, told ya. Fucking Texas.
No, I didn't think hijabs was over your mouth, though.
Oh, what's the one that goes face covering?
Niqab, but it still has kind of a...
Either way, come on, it was funny. Whatever, it made me chuckle. Sorry if it offended anybody.
No, I know it.
Just giving a nod to the women who seem to...
Burqa? Is that what it is?
There's I think it's the niqab.
Okay, so this is a lot of bad.
Yeah.
Especially with Texas. Poor Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Cleveland, Tennessee, which I double-checked whether this was Cleveland...
Tennessee.
Cleveland or Cleveland, Tennessee, because when you're reading an article in a local paper, they don't always specify. Cleveland, Tennessee is home of Westmore Church of God, which was the focal point of a regional outbreak of COVID-19.
Yeah.
And the pastor, Kelvin Page, in an interview said that...
Kelvin Cage?
Page.
Okay. I was going to say, Kelvin Cage sounds like a wrestler.
In an interview with WCLE radio, he said that his church followed really strong standards to keep people safe. They did seat spacing. They encouraged social distancing. They encouraged people to wear masks. And despite all that, the virus started spreading in their church on June 21 and continued to spread and continued to spread. And eventually they lost track of how many of their members came down with it and shut down the church.
Oh, goodness.
They will be deciding...
It's probably because nobody showed up anymore.
They will be deciding by this Sunday whether or not they will be when they will be reopening. But it has admitted in this interview that they should have taken masks more seriously and not just encouraged them, but required them to attend.
Yeah.
Their outbreak started in the choir. They were taking temperatures of everybody in the choir.
Yes, but I thought it was known that the choir was the worst part because everybody's spitting.
Yep.
While they're singing.
They're all breathing and panting heavily on each other.
Church choirs were very quickly identified based on one in Washington in one of the first outbreaks with the old form of COVID-19 that wasn't as infectious as the new one that's going around.
They should have switched to bell choir.
What they've found is choirs are super spreader events.
Yeah.
Lots of people in tight spaces for a prolonged period of time, emptying their lungs out into the air, projecting long distances.
It's literally the worst thing you can do besides spit on people.
Yeah.
Lauren had to get a COVID-19 test to do a breathing test at the hospital because it is an aerosolizing procedure. Singing in a fucking choir is an aerosolizing procedure.
I can just imagine that was probably like the big the big passer in bars was the karaoke bars.
Yeah.
That would be funny. No,
but
it's not.
His big takeaway from this is they should have taken masks more seriously. They should have shut down the fucking choir.
Yeah.
That's step one. Yes, they should have taken masks more seriously, but they should have shut down the goddamn choir.
Hindsight is 2020.
And, oh man, if you ever feel bad about wherever you live, if you aren't in Arizona, Tennessee, or Florida, and how it's doing with COVID-19, look at the per capita rates by county. Florida, Arizona, and Tennessee are failing right now.
God,
I mean,
finally, Idaho is not on the list.
The rural areas are failing right now.
Right, because the cities are doing stuff like making mandatory rules that people have to follow.
Mm-hmm.
And the rural people are like, not my rights.
Well, for a good example, in the Treasure Valley, Ada County,
were sailing.
Ada County, home of Boise, has the highest number of COVID-19 cases in the Treasure Valley, in Idaho, and actually, I believe it's the highest rate of new cases in the Northwest.
Yep. We just had to go to the bars.
But Canyon County, while many fewer positive test results, they also have a lot fewer people. They have a higher per capita rate.
Yeah.
Malheur County over in Eastern Oregon, with a grand population of maybe 30 or 40,000 compared to Ada County's, 450,000.
Yeah. They're pretty spread out there.
Has double the per capita infection rate.
Well, isn't that where the Bundys are?
No, they're in Parma.
That's where they took over.
Emmett.
Oh.
And the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge is actually in Harney County, not Malheur County.
I don't know. You know what? I don't know my geography.
And the Bundy family is actually from Nevada, but Ammon lives in Emmett.
Not in Ammon, which is another city in Idaho.
Yeah.
Right, but he sure does love Meridian right now.
Yeah. Well, he just has to drive over Freeze Out Hill. Which, okay, we could solve all this. This might all solve itself if he still is driving over to Meridian or Boise for protests in the winter when Freeze Out Hill freezes out.
Or he could just pick up COVID and die. I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be a little sweeter, but yeah. Or get another standoff with the government and not win. I have no idea how that
he
jury
can't
in
own
Oregon
guns,
admitted him. Or
right, but
acquitted him.
he they took away his right to own guns, though, correct? I thought that was one of the
He was acquitted.
stipulations.
Yeah, he didn't get.
It wasn't a
punishment.
plea bargain. He was acquitted.
No, I'm pretty sure
he did lose his gun rights because of another something else he did.
Oh.
I can't remember what it was, but he didn't lose them permanently. I think he lost them for like a year.
Mm.
Either way, he's back downtown Boise protesting with his guns.
Mm-hmm. All right, so final story for the bad. A Nigerian human rights activist and atheist, Leo Igwe, is being sued by Lady Apostle Helen Yukabayo, who is a Christian fundamentalist and biblical literalist who is accusing him of defamation and suing for $50 million US. What has he done? Well, Leo has pointed out how she's a witch hunter and is going after children and getting children killed.
Oh my gosh.
Child witches is her specialty.
What?
Actually, I can verify that Kylie tried to make me a potion the other day that I'm pretty sure would have killed me if I had actually drank it.
Oh, gosh.
And she's only 2.5, so imagine, the witchiness of a 4-year-old.
Well, we got to see the witchiness of a 3-year-old when Emma was making her fire potions and killing you.
Yes, that was awesome. I'm so proud of her.
When you were 8 months pregnant, she was killing you anyway with a fire potion.
It's all right. It's okay. I have shields. I'm +1 against fire damage.
But seriously, when in Africa, in the world, if you accuse someone of being a witch, they usually end up dead.
Yeah, that seems kind of backwards, but there we are, Monty Python.
We went through that.
I learned a lot about the world from Monty Python.
Witch, you're a witch. I was thinking about practical magic and the craft the other day.
We went through that here in the U.S. back in, the Massachusetts Bay Colony era.
Yep.
Yeah, but I thought that was all like fermented rye and shit. Also, just
it could have been
asshole.
Europe went through it with the Inquisition.
Again,
And
Monty Python.
Canada has finally made it not criminal to be a fraudulent witch.
Oh yeah, we went over that a year ago.
Yeah. Witchcraft is finally legal in Canada.
Fraudulent witchcraft.
Right. Yes.
Which is funny because I had a friend who just asked me the other day if I've ever cast a spell. Like, no, surprisingly.
But in places... But in places
that's in UU 101.
Yeah, but I haven't.
But in places who still take those in places that still take those accusations seriously, like Nigeria, it's a death sentence to call someone a witch.
Usually, it's just a streak of womanly independence that gets you killed, but the children, Jesus,
This woman is a monster.
Of course, the Lori Vallow person killed her kids because she thought that they were basically possessed.
No, I thought she did it because
she thought that
the world was ending and she didn't want them to suffer.
No, she did it because the world was ending and her kids had become quote-unquote zombies, where their souls have been replaced by evil energy. So killing their earthly bodies wasn't a crime because they weren't human anymore.
Yep.
What a bitch.
So that's what's going on in Idaho.
Yeah. But Leo Igwe's main job lately has been trying to get Mubarak Bala, the head of the Nigerian Humanist Association out of prison.
Yeah.
He is probably still alive. There is some evidence now that he is still alive.
Oh, okay. Some evidence is better than no evidence.
So they are trying to get him out, as opposed to hauled off into places where Sharia is law, where he can be executed for being a ex-Muslim.
Hey, we were just talking about that.
Yep. Comes full circle.
Full circle. I can't take this anymore. I need some good news.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, but we haven't even gotten to the worst news
I
yet.
know, but in current good news, Jeff Sessions just lost his seat.
I just saw that.
Yeah, so
He lost the primary?
yeah.
Yep.
Oh, he already lost a seat when he resigned it and became Attorney General, and then pissed off Trump by still having some ethics.
Yeah.
Yep, he loses comeback bid in Alabama runoff.
Wow. So who beat him?
Oh.
Okay.
Hold on, I got it in front of me. Hold on.
Oh my God, Tuberville.
Yeah, Tommy Tuberville.
Can you think of a more Idaho name?
Oh, he's a former Auburn University football coach. That's why. Why you won?
Oh, wow. Okay.
I mean,
Tuberville. Can we please get him at BSU?
no, he's
I would love to have a coach named Tuberville at BSU or ISU or U of I. Is there any high schools that still have a spud as their mascot?
This is a little awkward. The title story is in the ugly section, and we went pretty long. And both interviews that I had scheduled for this week ended up falling through. One we already talked about, the other one needed to reschedule. And since we're going to be on vacation next week, I'm moving the rest of the episode, the ugly section, to next week's episode. I'll also be doing a dusting off the degree. So that's what we'll have next week. So, yeah, we'll go ahead and go right to the close. We are way out of time.
I know. I'm falling asleep over here. My new medicine's a night medicine, and I had to take it.
Yeah, we all need to go to sleep. So
I know we heard you struggling with the drawer. That was not a wakeful person that we were.
No, it really wasn't.
All right, Aaron, thank you, I think.
Thank you. Yeah. No, this is good. This is great. I'll
enjoy your break.
Oh, wait, are you going? Yeah, are you going? You're going on vacation next week. We're not doing this next week.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Sorry.
Recording an interview tomorrow, which by the time this episode is out is in the past. For next week, which will be in the future. So, yeah. And Lauren, thank you.
Hopefully, yeah. Thank you, Lauren.
I'm actually doing pretty good.
If you want to
probably because if I wait another few minutes, I could probably go see Neowise Comet.
If you want to contact us, send us an email at contact@atheistnomads.com or use the feedback form on the website or click the link for SpeakPipe to leave us a voice message or just record something on your phone or computer and email it to us. That also works really well.
Dear God, please talk to us.
Please.
They're already sick of me two weeks in. Let's get some.
One other person is not the kind of social contact that we need.
And if you want to support the show, you can find out how at atheistnomads.com/donate or at patreon.com/atheistnomads. You can start at just $1 an episode. More is always nice, but $1 an episode is actually pretty good. It's like $4 or $5 a month.
Yeah.
It makes a difference and does literally keep the show going, because if the show wasn't making us positive money, it would have been canceled long ago.
Yeah, so donate.
Yeah. And I don't mean to say that I don't like doing the show. It's just that when it gets tough to keep going, when burnout hits...
Like in a pandemic.
You need incentive.
Incentive continuing, being like, oh, wait, it would be harder to buy things if I stopped doing this. That matters. So yes, the support is worth it and greatly appreciated. And until next week, remember, not all those who wander are lost. Thank you for listening to another episode of Atheist Nomads. You can find show notes and contact information at atheistnomads.com. Follow us on Twitter at Atheist Nomads, and like us on Facebook at facebook.com/atheistnomads. Please subscribe to the show in iTunes, Stitcher, or your podcatcher of choice, and while you're there, feel free to leave us a review. Theme music is courtesy of Sturdy Fred. Until next time, this has been the Atheist Nomads.